Hey everyone, thanks for joining me for talking about visions, goals, and habits. And I know that we do vision boards every year, and I think that this is a great opportunity for us to have a tangible representation of our visions and our goals. I think it's really important. I'm the last person who wants to wield a pair of scissors or handle a glue stick, but I do think it's really important for us to every day have a visual reminder of the goals and visions that we see. And especially because we've had so much success over the past with people having visions on their boards and actually having those visions come to fruition. So to highlight a couple of those, we have Shelby, who had on her vision board that she wanted to buy a house this year. And she and her fiance Will was able to accomplish that this year. And you can go into the next one. Karen also on her vision was to be engaged. And obviously that's something that wasn't really in her control, but seeing that ring on her vision board just kept her in the mindset of continuing to build and grow and develop her relationship to be able to be in a place where she wanted to further her relationship and kept on track, and she was able to accomplish that goal. I can go on to the next thing. I think a lot of times when we do set goals and do set visions, we have a couple of responses to that. Either we don't want to set goals because we are afraid that it requires some sort of action to that goal, or we set goals that are relatively easy to obtain because we all want to feel good about ourselves at the end of the day. And there's nothing wrong with that, but I think that we grow the most when we actually set goals that are higher than than what we feel like we can obtain. One of my favorite quotes is from one of my favorite books, coincidentally. It's called Blue Like Jazz by Donald Young. He says, "The trouble with deep belief is that it costs something. And there's something inside of me, some selfish beast of a subtle thing, that doesn't like the truth at all because it carries responsibility. And if I believe these things, I have to do something about them. It's so cumbersome to believe anything." And I think that holds true. I think that holds true with our goals, because we know when we set goals, we actually have to do something about them. And today I would really like for us to sort of take the goal off the pedestal, set the goal and almost forget about it, and understand that there's a process in place and there are a set of habits that we can align with those processes that we can do every single day that's going to continue to make us grow as people. And if we hit the goal, great, but a lot of times we might end up surpassing those goals or realizing that, well, maybe the goal isn't what I'm chasing. Maybe I'm chasing something completely different, but at the end of the day, we're still growing as people. You do not rise to the level of your goals. You fall to you fall to the level of your systems. That's by James Clear of Atomic Habits. Really good book if you haven't read it. But it's absolutely right. We can set the most lofty goals we can, but if we don't have the systems in place, the processes or the habits in place, we'll never obtain those goals. And even if we don't hit those goals, if we do have a system or a process in place, then we're always going to be able to grow as individuals and grow as people. As we're setting habits, like everything else, excellence is a habit. Obviously you have a cue, right? You have a cue that creates a habit, whether it's waking up in the morning and starting a pot of coffee, or coming to work and checking your emails. You have a cue, and then you have a craving, right? And then you have a response and then a reward. As you're setting a goal, you want to make sure that you do have a habit associated with that is attractive, that is easy, and is satisfying. For the longest time, I was hitting snooze when I would wake up in the morning. I would hit snooze, and 5 minutes go by, I hit snooze again, I hit snooze again. And one day I was like, okay, it doesn't make any sense for me to get up after hitting snooze 3 or 4 times and then rushing around trying to get ready for work. So I decided that I would not hit snooze anymore, and that I would wake up and get ready. I kind of failed at this because I realized that I didn't have anything attractive enough. I didn't have a craving to want to get me out of bed in the morning. But I know that I really like breakfast. I know that I will do anything for food. So I decided, instead of coming to work and having breakfast, I decided that I would start making breakfast at home. And in doing that, once that alarm went off the first time, I realized, wow, this is an opportunity for me to get up and make breakfast because I'm hungry. And it allowed a habit to be put in place for me to be able to get up early, and actually got up earlier than I normally would have the first news, so that I could make breakfast, slow my morning down, and then get to work without having to rush through traffic and all that. So you have to create a process of putting habits in place that are attractive, that makes your response easy, and then at the end of the day, make it satisfying. And then that creates a habit loop that causes you to put in place a process that will eventually put you in the direction of your goal. Another quote is, "This is the process. Acknowledging where you are, identifying where you want to be, breaking it down into pieces. Excellence is a matter of steps. Excel at this one, then that one, and then the one after that." That's by Ben Bergeron from Chasing Excellence. So as we do then create our habits, we want our habits to be so powerful that we become, that we begin to identify ourselves with those habits. We want people to associate those habits with us. If you're a super healthy smoker, if you're a super healthy person and then decide to go out and have a cigarette, right? That should be such an alarm, and people should be looking at you like you're crazy, because that is not the type of person you are, because that doesn't fall within your habit loop. Our habits should be associated with us so intensively that we become identified by the habits that we choose to make, that we choose to put in place. The behavior habit change is identity change. When your behavior, a habit, and your identity are fully aligned, you're no longer pursuing change. You're simply acting like the type of person you believe yourself to be. And there's a video that goes along with this. It's by Ben Bergeron. To give you a little bit of a backstory, he is talking about goal setting. He's talking about sort of a process that's called WHOOP. You might have heard of it before. It's having a why, a how, with goal setting, understanding the outcomes of the goal, whether you're satisfied with those outcomes, and then realizing the obstacles that may come with trying to accomplish those goals, and then finally putting a plan in place. And we're gonna come in the middle of the video here talking about what you do after that plan, and he a little bit more eloquently puts the aspect of identifying yourself with those habits and with those goals.
Look like. Mm-hmm. That's where the WHOOP kind of ended, but I think it goes beyond that.
Okay.
I think what we need to do is, after you create that plan, is you have to then go back to those obstacles and say to yourself, when these things present themselves, I am the type of person that ... Mm-hmm. So it's a marathon thing. There's going to be times where, let's say you're the person that runs after work. There's going to be times that you are caught up at work for an hour, 2 hours later than you should have been. Where instead of getting home at 6:30, you're getting home at 8:30. You need to be the type of person, if you're gonna run a sub 3 hour marathon, you need to be the type of person that says to yourself, I'm the type of person that when I get home at 10 o'clock at night, I still go for my training run. Mm-hmm. I'm the type of person that if I know I have a really busy day, I'm gonna get up at 4:30 in the morning to get into my training. I'm the type of person that when it's snowing outside, I run in the snow. When you start to attach your identity to these things, then all of a sudden, when it's snowing, when you have to stay late at work, it's already taken care of. You've already told yourself what you're gonna do. It's not about just identifying the obstacles, it's telling you that you are the type of person that overcomes the obstacles that stop other people from reaching their goals. And that's not who you are.
Yep. And I imagine that there's also sort of you get points in some way to yourself when you prove that you are in fact the type of person.
It becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy, right? Even if you are not that person right now, if you can convince and just tell yourself, like, when it happens, because it's going to happen. When it happens, when I had to stay up working on a project till 1 in the morning, I'm supposed to do my training runs at 5 in the morning, I'm the type of person that still gets up to do those runs, because it's about the discipline. It's not about the marathon way down the road. It's about the daily discipline that we're trying to train in. Mm-hmm. And if you do that, rinse, wash, repeat, you are the sum of your habits. This is who you are. All of a sudden, you are the type of person that ... dot, dot, dot.
Right.
You know, somebody going through the Navy SEALs, if they tell...
So I really like that video because it gives a very, practical explanation of identifying yourself with your habits. He was saying if you're trying to run a marathon, you can't go and make a bunch of excuses about why you're not going to run today. If you're trying to have a diet, and eat better, you can't make a bunch of excuses of why you're breaking that diet. I think a lot of us tend to live in this sort of system of cognitive dissonance where we have these goals and we know what's right, we have these belief systems in place, but our actions are every bit contrary to those belief systems. And when we're called out about that or we're approached about that, then we create all these excuses of, okay, well, I didn't do this because of that, because it's Thursday, or because there was a wedding, right? But as soon as we identify, as soon as we associate ourselves with a habit through identification, then it kind of throws that stuff out the window. It's almost like you're not making those decisions anymore. You're just saying, this is the type of person I am, so there's no question about whether or not I do this. So as we're thinking about our goals, if you still have the same goals that you did have originally, I want us not to only think about the goals and the visions that we have in the future, but think about, okay, so how can I identify myself with a habit or process that's gonna throw me in a positive trajectory in order to accomplish these goals? If your goal is to get healthier, maybe it's I'm the type of person who works out 4 days a week, and every week you go Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. These are the days I work out no matter what. Long day, short day, a lot of sleep, no sleep at all. I'm the type of person who eats healthy, right? So I am the type of person who eats a healthy lunch every day. It doesn't matter if it's someone's birthday. It doesn't matter if someone's going out to Mexican. It doesn't matter, whatever happens. How much do you believe in your goals and how far are you willing to go to accomplish those goals? So set a goal, and then we're setting a statement along with that goal. I am the type of person who does ... or I am the type of person that ...